From the police department will be here tonight.
Okay,
And I don't know if I don't think Tony or Casey's gonna be here, so.
it'll be a really short meeting.
So these are all? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we'll bring the finance meeting at 6:31 on October 10th. Call to order.
Michelle Duval,
Here.
Bob Pingwine, Corey Garrier, here.
Has everybody had a chance to read over the meeting minutes?
Yep. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, and we'll just look at the cash journals. Do you have those, Penny? Like all the stuff we sign, or?
That's what I was trying to dig out, I'm like, wait a minute, I just threw it in a pile today as I got it ready, I didn't. And then Trevor called me at like 5 till 4. Really, Trevor? Silvers. That's the bank rec, and the other one.
Oh, you can start with it. Okay.
You're the president.
I thought there was one more.
What is 100 North Main?
100 North Main is the old grocery store across the street.
Oh,
So the gas payment not put to UAS yet for September?
UAN, yeah. I went ahead and paid it online, and then we wait to get the receipts, so it's not late.
Okay,
And then we were waiting for receipts from chief, so we finally got all them, and then I posted in UAN.
okay. It's got UAS, should I
Oh, it should
make
be
a line?
UAN.
Okay. So basically it's soon. And it was just
And and
basically,
it's actually already been done, 'cause
Okay.
I did it yesterday, so.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried to do it, but because I was in the middle of the bank rec, it wouldn't let me do it.
Lancaster City Schools?
So Lancaster City Schools, from where they demoed some of their old schools, they have a bunch of excess equipment. They tried auctioning off, didn't go very well, so they're selling it individually. So we got 10 of the 6-foot round tables on wheels for $100.
Oh,
And they're
nice.
probably $600 a piece. And they're
Right.
all in almost new condition. In addition to that, it's not on there, it'll be on next month. They have cubicles.
That's the
Uh-huh.
payment and
At
the
$75
resolution.
each, and it's a complete cubicle with everything. We need one for out here.
Uh-huh.
They're shared walls, so we're gonna get 2, so we have all the pieces and parts. But when Chief Garber gets back, I'm gonna ask him if they need some at the PD, because he had mentioned something about that. They have a
Yeah.
total of 6
Thank you.
available,
Yeah,
so we may end up getting more.
okay.
And then just while we're talking about it, these will be non-chargeable items, but Department of Administrative Services, DAS, through State of Ohio, we are part of them now. And they have the black cabinets that we use for records, filing cabinets. I think they have a total of 14 that they're gonna go up and get, and those will be at no charge to us.
Nice. So Penny, what's Alloway?
That's your chemical testing company
Oh, okay.
for the water plant?
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Yeah, well, it used to be Perry County something, and now it's,
Environmental, yeah, Perry County, yeah. All right, here's Jason's check. Throw it away, is that what you said? You
It's-
throw it away,
it's
but
already
he's already
spent.
got it.
It goes in one day and out the next.
Right?
it's like your paycheck.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Pile's getting higher.
And I also have the boys' check for the cubicle.
Oh, okay. I'll say if they don't come, we'll just lay it on their desk.
That's what I figured. I thought it was this. And I forgot the insufficient fund report. I thought I had it. I mixed it in with something. Here, instead of meeting, I wrote my basket.
What's galls?
Dolls is
Police
for
stuff.
police
Oh,
equipment.
yeah.
Vests, badges, just about anything to do with a uniform.
Yep.
That's their vest that we got through the grant,
Is
is
it?
what she's saying,
Okay.
yeah.
So Ohio Row Consulting, it's marked right away?
Yeah, so, that was, Eric Sandine came to our meeting last October, November-ish, and we went into contract with him, so he is a consultant to go after like the gas company, the electric company, so when they
Oh,
come
yeah,
here,
yep.
store stuff, they pay us fees to help
Yeah, sorry.
offset some of those costs. First year, the total payment is $15,000, so it was $5,000 increments, and then starting next year, it's $3,000 a year. And based on his estimate, we probably will make $5,000, so we make net out about a couple
Right.
$1,000s. But we kind of get some extra money to help fix sidewalks and things that they don't do properly.
And then Vinton County, it's a large one.
That right there was our payment for the loan for the water tower.
Okay,
So I do want to talk about that a little bit. So
Okay.
we took out that $849,000
$34,000?
for a one-year loan. The tank was only supposed to take less than a year to complete, but we ran into some issues
Right.
plus, so it became due.
mhm,
And also had a $50,000 interest payment with it, so that's what the combination is between those two. So those have been paid. I'm gonna present tonight at council, to take out an additional $100,000 loan for 12 months at 5.9 for 5%, because that's the reimbursement amount that we still have left to pay them.
okay,
That will get reimbursed, and once we get that reimbursement, we can pay off that note,
okay. And what was the extra 50 for?
interest.
Oh, okay, because wasn't that supposed to be interest-free?
Yes, there was miscommunication on the interest on it.
Uh-huh,
So we had to make that $50,000 interest payment.
okay,
That was done, but it also messed up our budget for this year, so we went through, made some adjustments, cut back some hours on employees, kind of able to figure that out, and then what we're gonna do on our way forward, just to make sure everything like that gets caught, is after, like, we kind of do it backwards. We go to the bank, ask for the information, you guys approve it, and then we get the documents. So then,
Mhm.
once we get that and those documents back, they'll come back to finance and council, or however council wants to do it, for them to sign off to make sure that everything's caught and there's nothing in there that's just like something that was
so
missing.
we'll do like a dual control?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good.
and then just while we're talking about the loans, in addition to $100,000, we'll probably have to take out a $50,000 note for 60 months at the same percentage rate, because we have some payments on projects coming due right now
Uh-huh,
that we don't have the cash flow for, so we're just gonna take that out, make,
Okay.
make the monthly payments and go from there.
okay. Do we have any of those outlined anywhere or anything?
It'll be on the council meeting.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
And then we also have some, in addition to that, I'll have two ordinances for council to look at. They're not emergency, because this is something we definitely need to discuss. But the share for grants keep going up and up and up and eating away our general fund. All other villages have a debt fund that's in addition to like their water rates. So I calculated that, and I'm gonna present one for water debt service and also for storm sewer debt service. The total amount calculated as of right now is a total of $10 extra per month per bill,
Okay.
or per unit. So if you're in an apartment complex and there's 3, then it'll be $10 per.
Okay, so we're just gonna look at an increase and then put it into an account that
Yes,
covers.
yes,
the-
and it'll be its own, so that way that loan payment, so when we went and got the loan for the water tank, we've always historically just taken it out of our water account. They really don't like that because it's not secured money.
Right,
We can actually spend that and not have the money, to where if we create these accounts, it's secured money. And then you adjust it as depending on what loans you have outstanding or that you're gonna get, so.
okay,
And the total between the two, I think $7 for water and then $3 for the storm sewer.
mhm,
That may need to be looked at again, but that's on paper to start it, and it should be somewhere right around there. But that way it's secured, and it will also pay for the additional loan amount that was already approved for there. So we'll end up with a year advance payment, so when that first payment's due, we actually have the cash for it.
okay,
Because we don't start making that payment until 2026, but we'll start collecting it from residents in 2025.
okay,
When would we start, like, now?
It'll be January 1st, because once we do the 3
Oh,
readings
gotcha.
and in the ordinance, I
Oh, I
put
forgot.
January 1st, because it just falls into line.
and that'll help cover that, that $50,000 interest payment, basically?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, through the storm line, storm sewer.
Gotcha,
And then we'll just do our typical, because like every year, even though we pass that ordinance, that water's only go up 3% every year. Every year, if you look at it, we're doing more and more because of cost of everything keeps going up. We'll be doing this cost increase, but our percentage will be able to remain at 3%.
okay,
Because once we pull those accounts out of the water, put over there, our water department is working the way it should.
okay. Now, will the ongoing $10 after we pay the interest payment stay on, and then we'll just basically have that in the account to do more?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the only way it could be changed is if council by ordinance changes it, either decreases or increases it depending on current loan conditions or future projects.
Gotcha. You gonna be okay?
Yeah. It's hurt for 3 weeks,
Oh.
every day. I'm tough.
That you are. I'll actually do that stuff. You got any I can take over to Bob so he can start?
2 seconds over. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Trouble. Okay, how are you? Good evening.
Oh, hey there, Bill.
When you
Is
guys
this the
look at
last
the,
ones to sign?
This one, you gotta look at that one.
when you guys look at the bank rec, you'll look at the unclaimed funds have been cleaned up.
Oh, good.
Claim on.
No, yeah, us.
We did. We did, Bill.
Us. It was $1,500.
You can do that, what, after like 5 years or something? I forget what the,
Well, they're telling me 6 months.
oh,
Yeah, that's what UAN told me. I was like,
I thought it was 2 years for
I
government.
did too. Well, I mean, like that I can move it into the unclaimed fund
Oh, okay, but then it goes there, then it comes to general
Then
fund
you have to
after.
wait to, yeah, I think it's 2 years, you gotta wait to go into the
Yes.
general. fund.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes more
So
sense.
it's into the unclaimed funds now,
Okay.
like, so it's.
Yeah, cause it's still
moved to
dated
that.
check at this
Okay,
point.
okay,
Yeah, cause like some of them were for 2019, so.
Okay.
okay.
Oops. I normally,
We thought we were the only ones that did that.
somebody looking for here.
Um, do you have anything else for finance?
No.
Well, you need to make a motion to do something with this.
Yeah, we
Oh,
still
okay.
gotta finish,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh, and then we have 2 resolutions for,
Council?
Yeah,
yes.
they're in there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody have any old business?
Did you approve the documents?
Not yet, I was waiting for him to look at them.
Oh, okay.
I was just thought I'd start.
So I'm sorry. All right, Jason, you gotta tell me when you're moving on.
No, I'm waiting, don't rush Bob, I just thought we'd,
That's all right.
in case
I didn't
Corey had
know.
anything while we were
Sorry.
waiting.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And I dropped the ball on the insufficient fund. If I thought I had it, I didn't grab it, so, or it's hooked with something else.
Oh, I thought,
Is it in there? It might be.
I thought it was the one where there were fees that you had to reverse because you didn't post the payments. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one that you're talking about. There was one where the
This
payment
is
got
just an
posted.
Excel spreadsheet that you guys sign off where there's no return checks or anything.
That one wasn't in there,
Okay.
sorry.
There wasn't any this month, but.
The fee one there, like where they,
Oh.
yeah, that
that's-
was there,
that's
but
how utility billing,
you're right,
yeah.
the NSF wasn't there.
Okay.
I think of both of them as,
The same thing.
It's supposed to freeze tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
oh, great.
I might have to bring my mom's in.
I got one mom and I've got a,
Yeah, Brenda's covering her stuff up and moving it underneath the cover and stuff.
I only have really one plant that I don't want to.
There was frost on the garage roof this morning.
There was?
Yeah.
I kill the plants by August.
Don't need to worry about it.
Well, it's time to cut stuff back.
I
in my
really do,
files.
about August when it's getting too sunny. Like my watering doesn't consist of enough to,
Well, you gotta be tough to live in my
Maintain.
yard. These people that water their yards every day.
Tom says the same thing. We only do indoor plants, but Tom says the same thing, like, you have an knack for killing them. I'm like, I'm getting better.
I do, I get better every year. It used to be I killed them in
Yeah.
July, now I'm killing them in August.
I do
Oh,
have,
okay.
And it was end of August. It wasn't until I went to
Oh, well, it's
Newfoundland, I was gone for
950
10 years, and you
degrees.
cannot expect my husband to water flowers.
No.
I've got 2 plants indoors. I've got a fern that my friend gave me that had 3 fronds on it, which she gave to me, and now it's,
I have one plant inside.
and then I've got a tropical plant up in my bedroom, and,
I have one plant inside, and I can't believe it's surviving, but that's,
well, I don't
it
water
must just
my,
be very hardy.
I don't water my plants very often.
Yeah.
I don't water my plants. My stomach's hurting more and more in a minute.
Let me rub it. That'll help me, like I rub the German Shepherd. It'll help my nerves.
I have
Help
everything.
your belly and my nerves.
Michelle, she
Okay,
has
sorry.
everything.
Okay. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the documents?
I'll make the motion
I'll second.
to approve the documents.
Okay. So does anybody have any old business?
No.
Okay, and there's 2 new on new business, there's 2 new resolutions that we'll discuss at General Council, 1010-2401 and 1010-2402. And they're both for supplemental appropriations. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn
I'll second.
the finance committee.
Or read it? Say aye.
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
6:51.
It is, yeah. 6:51.
and then,
Yeah, I almost forgot to. But yeah, they're gonna do it every Sunday in October. And I should tell
Sam,
you
that
the
dress
same
is
thing
really
if you
cute on
might
you.
wanna come down.
Where'd you get it?
Pockets.
Turkey shoes.
It'd be perfect for pockets.
You can put pockets in that.
And yeah, 'cause it has a,
Yeah, Dave
It has
stood
a
right and
underline,
taught me how.
but I could just cut that and sew them in.
Well, you just, all you have to do is make
I mean, you
pockets
probably
and then
have,
cut the
but I
seam and sew it
I
in.
don't
Yeah.
ever done
I'm just too lazy. It was like $10 at Old Navy.
He had me at
I
not
like Old
sure
Navy
how they
clothes.
have
That's where my
that,
green
like,
dress is
thing
from.
regular.
Really?
He had me down on one knee.
It's,
And
I
then
feel
put
like
my hand
it depends on the season. Hit or miss.
He told me where to put.
You know what I mean? Like
and then told me
sometimes
where
I
to
go in
aim,
there and I'm like,
basically. And
Sometimes
put my
it's
hand on
a
that
little
rail and then.
you're a
pull
little,
them.
like, what is this?
Still
Little house on the
No,
prairie?
I've heard it.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a hot minute.
Well, it's all about boho, it's all about boho stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Dave actually said
And
last
if
week.
you're not a boho kind of girl, you know.
I look like a hobo in boho. Like it does not work for
I'm
me.
like,
Like it just
What do you
doesn't.
think about it?
I am too big and too not.
I have a really cute,
Flowy.
I have a really cute
Built
pair
I can't shoot.
like it's a romper, but it's cups.
Mhm.
But, yeah, they need to be cut, because they're way too.
Oh, my, I work.
Yeah.
In the minutes to sign.
Okay.
Didn't not go over to that, because Dave has a towel.
Mhm.
It was later in the week. I was like, oh, I feel better. She doesn't mind cleaning. No, like, he'll tear it all apart and. Well, he'd teach you is what I'm trying to say,
may
like,
do
if
that.
you ever
Yeah.
want to do it, he, like, he's a geek on it. No, he would go to your house, like,
I need that.
I said, you check my phone.
Sam, we're recording, okay. It is 7:01 PM on, it's October, right?
Thursday,
Sorry,
October 10th.
October 10th, 2024. If we all could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know what month it is. We're doing fiscal year end at work, and we're technically still in September. So I'm just used to writing September on everything right now. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Henderson,
Present.
President Dumont,
Here.
Councilman Mason,
Here.
Councilman Pangborn,
Here.
Councilman Harrier,
Here.
Councilwoman Morton, here, Councilwoman Henry. Here.
All right, the approval of the regular council meeting minutes from September 12th, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to read those?
I'll make a motion.
Bill made the motion to accept. Do I hear a
I'll
second?
second
I'm sorry, who was that?
Sarah.
Sarah? Roll call?
President Dumont,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Yes.
Councilman Pangborn,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harrier,
Yes,
Councilwoman Morton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry.
Yes.
Sorry, Corey.
that's all right.
All right, we'll go ahead and go into the public input section. Is there anyone that would like to speak? All right, just a reminder, state your name for us, please.
Okay, Sherry Pimer. Do you want me to state my address too, or?
Oh, no,
Is
that's
that
fine.
good enough? Okay. All right, well, you probably remember me from a little while back talking about the Eastern Cottontail Solar Project in Walnut Township, and part of which the second phase will be here. I brought with me, look at that. I brought with me Thurston's letter to the Ohio Power Sighting Board. I'll leave you a copy of it, because
Thank you.
the village administrator put this all together, and the detriments that it will incur in Thurston. And then also, there is a map of the project, and then, now this comes straight out of their application, which is 2,701 pages long. And the little yellow dots that you'll see, which are 12 dots, represent homes that are owned by the property owners that are leasing their land. However, one family owns about 4 of those houses. So they're basically 12 property owners that are involved in this 1,550 acres. All of these red dots are residences. So it shows you how many people that will be affected, compared to a little handful of people. So I'll just leave this with you, and then
Okay.
Betty's gonna talk some more about it.
All right, thank you.
But this will give you an idea of what their thoughts
All
are.
right, thanks.
And that has been filed on the OPSB, site.
Hi, I'm Betty Bennett,
Hi.
and I live out on 256, right across from the project,
Mhm.
of course. We're gonna be within 200 feet of it. What we're asking you to do is compose the letter. We have some points here that you can kind of go off of, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're wanting in those letters to them, and how it'll affect Pleasantville. I also have this. This basically is an overlay of the project here. These are the lands that are currently in this application. These ones down here are gonna be what we're thinking is gonna be phase 2. We don't know what they're gonna do with that yet. But these are, according to the land use plan with the county, is the overlay of Pleasantville, Thurston, on what you guys wanna do in expanding your village.
That's the county's perspective, yes.
Yes, okay. Well, this is just for a visual for you,
Yeah.
so you can see.
Mhm.
So that's what we brought this for, so you can take a look at that. And I'll leave this with you. And can you make a copy of this, so I can take this with me?
I don't have a copier that big, however, that is available to us through the county, so I can probably pull that down
Okay.
and send it out to people.
Okay,
Yeah, because that's through the auditor's office that created that.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Now, we know what your position is, that you wanna remain neutral.
Yes, correct.
And then last time I was here, you know, I think he brought up that, you know, maybe wanted to discuss, which is great, because, you know, you didn't need to be making a decision like right on the spot, so. But one of the biggest things will be drainage and the soils and that type of thing, and then affecting future development. I know Walnut Township is growing, but there's been a lot of housing permits issued by the township
Mhm.
around Millersport area,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then,
Both Pleasant, I mean, just for reference, I mean, we sit in both Pleasant and Walnut Township. And when we talk township level, which isn't any concern of ours, however, they both have had a huge increase in building permits because of some of the different farmland that's being sold because these families don't want it. So we're losing hundreds of acres to houses. You know, we're going through our zoning right now, and one of my concerns, again, I'm not a township trustee, but again, we gotta use our land wisely, right? We all agree with that. We take 100 acres and we split it up in 10-acre lots because that's what current zoning says, or current law, because if you have a septic well and a water, you know, all this stuff.
have a minimum.
Yeah, you use all this space and it eats up our farmland,
Right.
just like other things do. And we gotta get better at taking that same 100 acres, maybe putting it closer to a municipality where there's water and we only need 500 feet of road frontage. We don't need a quarter-acre lot. We can put more houses to meet the housing need, and we can get them the water, the sewer, the utilities they need. You know, that's something I'm a big proponent of, because at the end of the day, I agree with you, we have to save our farmland.
Yep.
I don't think there's anyone here that will disagree with that, but it's how we do it.
Well,
And I've,
and we're absolutely in agreement with
Yeah.
that, because, for instance, you've got 5,000 acres leased right now.
Mhm.
Between 3 projects, there's 5,000 acres. And when I was talking to the county commissioners, this was months and months and months ago, and they were talking about the land use plan,
Mhm.
and Rick Zabrak was in there,
Yeah.
and, you know, and I brought up the fact that, you know, right now, you've got 5,000 acres
Mhm.
that's going to be in solar.
Mhm.
How many houses or commercial projects?
But it's
or
still a loss of
small-
farmland.
Or small businesses
Yeah.
would you put on 5,000 acres close to the town and then leave that as farmland? And so I think everybody's kind of in agreement that growing around the cities, because in their plan, in their application, they state that there's going to be a decrease in population. Now, I don't think they're right.
No, because it's all studies and all that, because we've sat on that board, I sit on that board to help develop that plan. Most all the villages, townships participated in it, and I'm one of the biggest proponents of that plan. Even when people in this county were saying it's the worst idea in the world, it's like, well, obviously you're not reading it because it's actually allowing us to grow, but grow in a proper way to, I don't have their map, but they took a map of if we keep to our current zoning laws in the townships and we build, I forget what the calculation was, 2,000 houses, I'm just making that up because I can't remember. It would basically take up an entire township
Right.
that we lose in farmland.
49,000 acres.
Yes, and if we
Yeah.
condense it down to like village lots,
Like 4,000 or something.
4,000 acres.
Yep.
That's a huge improvement on preserving our farmland.
Yep.
The argument, like the solar field, if we don't do solar and we build houses there, we still lose some farmland. Like, that's still the concern.
But we lose it to something that's really not productive. I mean, they're gaining solar, but they're signing power purchase agreements with Amazon and all of these big tech
I
companies.
understand. I mean,
And even they're going, Microsoft and Google are now going nuclear
mhm.
because they know that they can't get enough power.
Trust me.
And it's destabilizing the grid.
I'm not an environmentalist, but I'm old school. Coal, nuclear are our best sources. Again, terrible for the environment.
Gas is okay.
Well, but it produces the most amount of electricity to meet the demands of today and the future. That's where we're at in our society, in the world, just not us, it's all over the world, this is happening. I hate that they're shutting down nuclear power plants and coal burning power plants. Again, I get it, it's terrible for the environment. But people don't think about the environment, they think about my comfort at the house, and they're gonna keep consuming and keep consuming, just look at, I grew up in the 80s in a house that was built in the 50s, each room had 2 outlets, because in the 1950s, that was more than enough. Growing up in the 80s, we had extension cords running everywhere. I still live in the same house, and guess how many outlets and how big of a panel I have now, because again, we keep consuming electricity and we don't think about it. So it's not, it's a bigger issue than just this.
Now, they're opening back up some of the nuclear.
Are they? I haven't read that yet, so,
Microsoft is involved in the 3 Mile Island.
okay,
And not the one that
Yeah.
went completely, but
Yeah.
one of the good ones.
Yeah.
There's one up in Michigan
Yep.
that's going to be reopening. Bill Gates himself
Mhm.
is involved in building a new one in, I believe, Wyoming, and then there's another one that's going to be popping up it's either Idaho or Utah.
mhm,
And PJM is in such a
Yeah.
frantic state that it's like, okay, wait, we can't close anything else down right
Yeah.
now because it's gonna be disastrous.
yes. Yeah. Our grid is very fragile as it is, and
Exactly.
we keep consuming, and it's we, it's not you, it's not me, it's we.
Yeah.
We all keep consuming.
Well, and with the big tech companies coming in, they take up so much energy.
Yeah.
I never realized how much energy one place uses, like a Microsoft or
Yeah.
an Intel or a Google. I mean, it's astronomical.
Yep, but it's like economies of scale, like, during the Industrial Revolution, they started using more and more power. They were having these exact same conversations. We got through it, we found a way forward, we're all better for it. Environment, not saying it's better for it, but,
Can I just say one thing? As a homeowner, we built our home out on 256,
Mhm.
almost 35 years ago.
Mhm.
Our big concern is the quality of our well water.
Mhm.
We have a pond in the rear of our
Yep.
yard, and you've seen how these things get hit with hail. We had over $30,000 worth of damage
Yeah.
to our home a couple of years ago
Mhm.
from hail. So they put those in the field across from us. Then we have a big storm blow through. All that stuff's gonna run down into the ground, right across where our well's at.
Mhm.
Who do we sue?
Yeah.
Well, but again, that's a different conversation. You're saying stuff.
Yeah.
Depending on what study that you see and what
Well-
technology they use, some of it currently is not hazardous to the material. Now, when I say this stuff,
If the
we're still
panels are
new in all
cracked-
this stuff, and we
Yeah.
still have a lot of stuff to learn. I 100% agree. Because my biggest concern, and we will be writing a letter to the siting board about our concerns as a village,
Right.
not pro or con to any organization, or pro or for, because our thing is, we want our wells protected, because
Exactly.
our wells,
That's our concern.
yes, And we want to make sure that our creek bed, for the drainage is
Absolutely.
correctly updated, because right now they're undersized. Everything in this village goes into Walnut Creek, which pretty much wraps this village.
Yeah.
And when we have a heavy rain event, every farmer around here feeds into Walnut Creek, plus this village. So guess what happens? The village gets backed up.
Right.
You know, so I want to, those are the things I will be going after, and I will be going, because that's what the village needs.
Well, I can tell you that the clock is really ticking right now.
Yes.
And they've only got
I
a
understand.
very short period of time
Mhm.
before the staff
Mhm.
makes its
Yes.
report,
Yes.
the recommendation.
Yeah. Well, I've already, again, I said this last time, I've already been talking to Eastern Cottontail on this. It's like, this is what I want and this is what I'm gonna do. Because, one, I wanna make sure that while they're doing whatever they're doing and whatever they get approved for, we already have our conversation and they already know what our intent is. There's no, we're gonna go over here and ask for this, but from day one, we've talked to them and said, this is our concerns, this is what we want addressed. We wanna make sure that it's, if something would happen, the village is secured in that, because that's the only battle we have in this. Outside of that, we have no battle.
What about the property values and people wanting to?
So property value, I'll stop you right there, because I don't like that conversation. Property value is very volatile, and you can't say it's directly, and there's studies out there, real studies, not an article written by someone that's being paid to do something. Real studies out there that show where these plants go in, some property values increase, some decrease, because there's other factors that play into it. So
Depends on
like
how
right,
far away.
well, no, I'm not even getting into how far away. Like today, let's just talk about Pleasantville. My home, my grandparents paid $35,000 to have it built in 1950, all right? When they passed away, it was worth $80,000, okay? That's when I took it over. Now it's worth almost $400,000. Would I pay $400,000 for this house I love? No, because it's not worth it. But guess what? If I go to sell it, that's what I'm gonna get out of it. There's so many different things that play into that one thing is hard to say it's a direct relationship, and that's what most studies that are independent state. Because each place that there's, and this is, you know, all over the country, it goes up and down. Like there's no consistency to say it's a direct relationship, because there's all these different players into it. So the property argument, I shut people down, because that one, I understand it, but there's real studies out there, not someone that's getting paid to write an article
Right.
that blows it out of proportion.
I guess my standpoint is, if I was a person looking to buy a home,
Mhm.
and I was looking at the home I live in currently,
Mhm.
that's gonna have a big solar field across from it.
Yep.
And I see another one that's comparable size, comparable acreage, everything,
Mhm.
doesn't have a solar field. Do you know what I'm gonna buy? I'm gonna buy the one that doesn't have
That's
a
a possibility, yeah. I mean,
And
you know,
most people would. Who wants that?
possibly. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know, because,
Yeah.
you know, the market is so volatile.
Well, one thing about Fairfield County is it's already short on residences.
It is, we're
It's
about 2,000,
2,000
short.
yeah.
Yep. And it's gonna increase over the next 5
And
years.
with all these big box
Mhm.
businesses going in,
Yep.
people are gonna be looking here
Yes,
in Walnut
Yep.
Township and
Yep.
even down into here, because,
yes,
you know, of course, you got Google to the south, so, or east,
Yeah.
southeast, or west. So people are gonna be, they
Yep.
don't wanna live up in Licking County where
Yep.
everything is. They wanna live down here and work up there.
yep. So, I don't mean to cut you off, because we do have to get
No, I
on.
know
But
you
do you
have
guys have anything else? And again, I do want to share, I know I come across brash, that's just who I am, and I apologize. But
I came from construction,
Yeah.
nothing is.
So I do appreciate what you guys are doing, because there has to be checks and balances in everything we do, right? And I think you guys are a great checks and balance through this. You know, so keep that up type thing. I don't think, I'm not against you guys, it's just I prefer to remain neutral. And as I've mentioned before, we've allowed, and we continue to allow, you know, any use of our facilities free of charge to anyone, because again, we want people to have the opportunity to hear these conversations and to get educated. And that's why I want to remain neutral, because I think someone needs to. Everyone needs to be able to have a voice, and both sides need to be heard, so people can be educated, and so they can get the facts. And I think, you know, the different symposiums and the different things you guys put together is a good way of getting that information out there, so.
One of the things that really bothers me is they came in about 2021, well, when GeneX turned it over to EDF.
Mhm.
They came in and they joined everything under the sun. They joined the Chambers of Commerce,
Yep.
they joined, you know, and our Buckeye Lake Region Chamber, they were going to write a letter, except then, they had joined the chamber, and they said, we can't oppose them because they're a member, and they sponsored this, and they sponsored that, and that's what they're doing all over, is they're throwing money around, and they're offering money to certain, even agencies, saying, well, maybe we can help you out. And they're,
Hey, so I'll say this right now, they support our festival.
yep.
They
Yeah,
give
we
us,
were there too.
yes,
We were there.
yes, yeah, and again, we encourage you guys to come, because again, it's a conversation. They support, they donate directly to the village anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 a year. I mean, that's in our books, has nothing to do with my opinion,
Yeah.
because my opinion's my opinion.
But see, this
But-
is why they do it. though,
No, and I
because
understand,
they-
but they also
it's
give
kinda
to our,
like whining and dining somebody,
Yeah.
you know. it's
But-
like-
but they also-
If you look across the country.
yeah, it happens everywhere. They also,
It's, that's
they also give
business.
money to our local food banks that are dying for money.
Yeah,
So,
that's what they
and
do.
I tell everyone, and I've told them, guess what, while your purses are open, I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because
But
if you're gonna write me a check for $20,000, I would be stupid to say no, because my opinion's not gonna change.
But it's all of our money because it's federal tax dollars that we're paying, and they're getting paid billions
Yep.
of dollars to do this.
Yep,
and-
I mean, I'd rather have it
I
than
mean, it's
Ukraine,
sad.
so,
I think it's sad.
yep, so, but again, we gotta move on. I mean, if you guys have anything else, I don't wanna rush you, but if you guys have anything else.
This is, I'm
Oh.
gonna give you this one too. This is a letter from Fairfield Land Preservation,
Okay,
and it has maps.
is this our
and
copy to
there's-
keep?
You can have that
Okay,
copy,
thank you.
yes. But there's maps in there,
Mhm.
and it talks about the ratings on our farm, our
Mhm.
local farmland.
Yep.
We're in the upper 72 percentile,
Mhm.
and it's a pretty awesome letter, but
Yep.
I'll leave that with you too.
They do a good job at the
They do.
Preservation
And,
Association.
they wanted to deny it, just so you know.
Yeah. No,
Well,
they're,
Governor Boyovich signed that, and it is to remain in effect. That was like,
1989.
no, it was, I think, 2000 or.
last page, I think.
It was at least 20 years ago. But it was to remain in effect until rescinded. It's never been rescinded.
Mhm.
So that was between the county, the township, the state,
Yep,
and so that's just, something to take a look at, so.
okay, I appreciate it.
So we'll leave you alone now.
No, you're fine.
But we appreciate, and,
Now's the time.
and last time you had said if the council wanted to write a
Yeah, that's
letter or
their
something,
decision to make, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we would appreciate it,
Mhm.
just simply because they don't always do what they say they're gonna do.
Mhm.
I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the solar companies. And I think, since I was here last time, I was up at Fox Squirrel,
Mhm.
their other project, and they had to redo drainage and
Yep.
everything. They went through 4 drainage companies
Mhm.
before they found one that would do it their way. They put it in opposite of what 3 companies, including the guy that farmed the land for 30 years,
Mhm.
had a drainage company. And he kept saying, this is not the way it's supposed to be done. It's not, this isn't right. And so they tried to find somebody else, and then tried to find somebody else. 3 companies said the same thing.
Yep.
So they finally found one that would do it the wrong way, and then they've had to mitigate
Yep.
because of the flooding.
Yep, no, I'm well aware of that problem that they have. And again,
Yeah.
that goes back to mismanagement and poor engineering. I mean, that's,
Well, but it's
Yeah.
same old, you
Yep.
know, so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
yep, all right. Thank you, guys. All right, do you guys have anything before I move? Okay, I just want to make sure I don't ignore you or skip over, so. All right, council reports, finance?
We do have a couple ordinances that we'll discuss later in the meeting.
Okay. All right, zoning property maintenance, I think we've only had, what, 1 building permit since last month, or was that last month we got it?
That was last month.
Last month,
Yeah.
okay, yep. They're on vacation right now, so I didn't get an update from them, so. I do know she's working with 8 different property owners in the village on property maintenance issues. And basically, our conversation was with her, as long as you feel like you're making progress with it, handle it. But the minute you don't think you're making progress, then we'll cite them into mayor's court and fine them. Because again, everyone has reasons why they can't do something, because to fix up your yard sometimes takes money and people don't have it, so, or, they're sick or whatever. So I'm trusting their, judgment on it right now, and then did tell them, like, if anything needs to be elevated, just to go ahead and cite them into mayor's court, and then we'll put them on, we'll find them or put them on probation, or, again, help them out to make better decisions, I guess is how to say that. Records, rules, and law.
Nothing this month, we need to get together and talk about the ordinances.
Okay.
And I'll be, we'll talk about it, and
Okay.
Sam can post it once we come up with a date.
All right. Recreation, community center, and pool. All right. The ball, just so you know, the ball diamond at Pleasantville Park, they're finishing up the fencing, so that softball diamond is almost complete. It'll have some punch-out items, so that right there will be wrapping up here soon. I did mention in finance, the Lancaster City Schools, from where they closed down their schools and built new, they're not allowed to use the old equipment from the old schools, and some of it was brand-new equipment. So they have it stored, so they had those big round tables the plastic ones, that we pay $100 for, $100 a piece for. Well, they have the heavy-duty ones on wheels that are probably like $600. They sold us 10 of them for $100. Well, actually, we got 11. We paid for 10, but they found an extra one, we got it. So those went to the community center, so we don't have to lug those tables back and forth upstairs. And if we do, these ones are on wheels.
And they're on wheels,
So they go down the
Cory.
ramp.
They're wheels.
Yeah.
I have lugged
Yeah.
tables and chairs up those steps.
All right. We'll go ahead, regional planning and board of health.
There was a meeting, there was a meeting October 1st, but there wasn't really anything on it that affected us for regional planning, and then Board of Health, there hasn't been a meeting.
Okay. All right. I do want to talk about the grant board, just because we've had some changes and things like that, so. But, let's see, so we'll start with applied funding. I'm just ready, guys, so sorry if I blocked you. So we applied for this, that's what we're waiting for PPG. We did not get funded on round one on this, in the second round. It doesn't look favorable for us to apply, so we're just not gonna apply for that. So these two will not get funded, which is fine, I mean, because we've had a lot. So, we have $2.3 million worth of projects sitting here. So some changes to this, and hopefully this doesn't go too south, but energy and CDBG funding, those kind of went together, right? This is the state allocation, this is the county allocation of the same pot of money. We had Audi Park restrooms on there and concession stand. We bid it out the first time with the restrooms at the pool, and we were told no one wanted to bid on it because it was attached to the school, and they didn't want to have to deal with the school and politics. At the school, rebid it, didn't get any better. Alone. I don't know why. People picked up packets, so we're trying it one last time. It's about a $200,000 project for 1 million. It's a lot of money, but again, it's state money, so all the state rules. Hopefully, we got some bidders. We have 2 packets out right now, so if anyone knows anyone that wants to build, again, prevailing wage, all that state rules and all that hoops to jump through apply, and I think that's kind of what a lot of the problems are. Because if we don't get any bidders, we lose that project. And we're gonna try to reprogram it in the village, meaning we'll see what else we can do. Maybe we do a baseball diamond, or a playground, or something like that. However, all this money has to be spent by February of 2025, every last penny. And what doesn't get spent goes back. And if we have any expenditures that aren't paid, we're responsible for it. We're running out of time, because in the state process, if you rebid something that's not part of your original design, you start with, all this different things, which would take us 3 months to even get there. So we're now at December, before we can even say, hey, we got it, and they have 2 months to build it. It's just where we're at in this process. Some of the things that we did was some, when I say extra money in here, as some of these projects are being completed, we have, it didn't pay out as much as what we storm lines. We went up part way. Part of that, we had about $40,000 left, and there's about $40,000 worth of work takes up the rest of the Pearl Street. So we went ahead and done that change order, so that way Pearl Street. So that's one good thing. We did a change order to go ahead and do it, but we don't know if it'll actually happen because we have to wait for some of these other projects to be completed to see how much funding we have. But we went ahead and got the change orders in, so we have time, or we're not fighting time, to do Audi Park dugouts and to do work on the T-ball diamond. So if we have money left over from some of these other projects and we get bidders on this, we may not be able to do both of these. But if this doesn't get bid out and we get no bidders, we should have enough money to do both of these if we get a contractor to do it, because this is part of our original program. We don't have to go through the whole process again. But again, we won't use $200,000 for those two small projects. I mean, if we do, it's a waste of money. So that's kind of where we're at with that. The ball diamond, it's almost done. Again, just they got the, put some fencing. It looks nice. You guys need to stop and look at it. I mean, it's really nice. The girls softball team is super excited to have their own diamond to play on. So I've been in contact with them, so they're loving it. East Columbus Street storm lines, punch out list items need to be done there. Concrete is done, paving is done, lines are done. Well, the same contractor. Like we do, our engineer.
Very personal.
Yeah, some people, you say, well, they should be there every day. It's like, oh,
No,
well, we'd have no
it's
great
been
money.
into it,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. So they usually come in different intervals. He just done an update this week to Mark, who owns the company, with some punch list items, so.
Okay.
Because I think he needs to do some additional concrete work around some of the.
Our
ground.
drain is way low.
Well, but that's kind of by design type thing, and when you say drains, you have two of them out there, you're talking about
One
the
of them's
one.
fine, the one on Columbus and Hickory.
Yeah, which one are you talking about that's too low?
The one on the corner of our house.
Okay, but there's one on Plum Street, there's one, so you want to
Correct,
get Looper?
so the one that is in front of our house would not be on Hickory, that would be on Columbus.
Yeah, so which one are you talking about?
On
I'm sorry.
Hickory.
And Hickenlooper, yeah, that's by design to kind of catch all that stuff.
No, it's way too low.
I mean, that's a way to stay, I mean, that's not gonna be
I've
raised.
let other engineers look at it too.
Okay, I mean, but that was how it was designed, and that will be how it stands, it's not a contract. Okay, that's fine, but it's how it needs to be done to be able to collect the water, so.
I disagree.
Okay, and that's fine.
We do this all the time.
Okay, good. I mean,
I understand you're an accountant by trade for construction.
no, I get it, but, you know, this is not our first storm line that we put in, so. And we did have some problems with some of the ones that, because of how the design was different than built, that we've had to reconfigure some things. So if you go down your street, we kind of built that big concrete block, because
Sure.
that drop was way too low.
Absolutely.
And we had to put that skirting around and things like that, so. But I do believe on that one, don't quote me on this, because I'm going off the top of my head, that one may need some more concrete work. But as far as raising the drain, that's not.
I'm just saying from where the sidewalk ends and the drain, you have this little bit of dirt in between, well, soil now,
Yep.
and grass. You have this gap and it drops down off the side of the sidewalk. That is not accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I work with engineers daily.
Well, again, I can bring a different engineering company, I'll put a set of ours, also yours,
Sure.
you know.
Well, not one, I work
Yeah.
with multiple,
Okay.
every job I have.
But that may have some concrete work to be done, but it will not be raised. I mean, that's what I'm saying, it's not gonna be raised, because the grade is kind of where we need it to
Well,
be.
you're gonna have constant problems with all the soil and dirt.
Yeah,
and
but we've always, I mean,
for you, and clogs, and you're gonna constantly be paying somebody to clean that out. Why not rectify that problem, being up front? is
so,
all I'm
but
saying.
for right now, that's not being raised, but I do
For
believe.
us, it's not gonna affect our lives one way or the other, like that.
Yes, but there may be concrete work, there's all I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
I can't
I'm
remember.
not, but I don't want you to think that like we're saying it, 'cause
Oh, no,
it's
I'm
not gonna affect us either way.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect you and us, well, I guess us and taxpayers, but I
Yeah.
mean, the, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, no, I
the
get that,
village,
yeah.
I should say.
No, I get that. Then the Summit Street storm lines, they've kind of started on that, or they have started on that, so on the North Main Street side, they have installed those storm lines, they've, went through, back through, reseeded, graded all that stuff out. They're on Main Street now, which they've gotta put a couple drops up there. Once that is done, they do the punch out, and I think they're gonna finish Pearl Street first, then they're gonna go down behind Second Street, so that, they're gonna finish up that one. And I believe that was it. The main thing was just this piece with all these unknowns, and just so you guys know, and I hate saying it, but we might lose money. When I say lose money, it's just the grant money will have to go back to
Where
the
are they
state.
advertising at? Just out of curiosity.
So they advertise it, and again, I don't know what it's called, but there's some kind of state thing for engineer, or
Well,
for,
we get them
Yeah,
all the time,
okay.
and that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it's like, well, I have engineers all the time that will
Yeah.
call me, and, you know, if it's something that we don't see or
Yeah.
something, they'll say, hey, can you,
Yeah.
we're not getting any bidders, can you
Yeah.
bid on this? Are they doing their due diligence of trying to reach out?
oh,
to
no, we
people?
are, because I'm even doing it this time to
Okay,
help out, because
perfect.
we advertise it in newspapers, it goes on whatever, I don't know
Like
what
Blue
website.
Beam or,
Yeah,
you know,
something like that.
Planet Holders.
This time, we're individually calling builders, and every conversation I've been having is, it's either not enough money.
We're so busy.
Well, right now, and I keep saying that, we're lucky that we're flush with all these projects throughout the state, and there's tons of money going around.
There is.
And when that happens, our projects suffer because no one wants them. But then when contractors are starving, guess what they like to do? So we're
You're
just in
right.
that, we're in that
And that
phase.
second phase,
Yeah.
that I know that we're busy through
Yeah.
25.
Oh, yeah,
And
Yeah.
we have, you know, all of our engineering firms that we work with and all of our different airfields, and they're begging us, we can't. I don't wanna make you a promise that I can do your project
Yeah.
next year when I know that I
Yeah.
can't.
well, we have one guy lined up to do this, but because it's a process, he has to make sure he can pay his employees. So he went and took on other jobs. Well, guess what? He don't have time to do this until next February, which is when the money's expired,
I'm
you know?
the same
Yeah, so it's one of those things, and I hate it, but it
conundrum.
is what it is. You know, you can't do any more than try, I guess. But yeah, that's where it's at, on that. Any questions on that? You know, because of this being a huge year, and this was kind of supposed to be spread out between this year and next year, with some of the projects and funding that we have this year. I think I mentioned last time is we probably won't get money grants for the next year, because we gotta take a breather, gotta relook at things, and then also, we're paying out a lot of money, we gotta start, you know, our money that we get back from tax revenue, building our accounts back up, because we've spent a lot of money. Every line here that's underlined in red, that is cash out the door that we spent in the last 2 years, on these projects, which is great. But, you know, it comes with a price, like, our accounts are getting down low, not to where it's emergent or we're having problems, but we don't wanna get to that place. So we kind of just need to step back, take a breather, and then also evaluate these projects here and see where we wanna go next, or if we wanna add to, take away. The only caveat with that, if we do get a reimbursement type grant, we may apply for that, because again, if it's free money, it's free money. But if it's something that we have to pay toward, we probably won't do it unless it's something very small. So, all right. Maybe my laptop, I never thought of that.
That's why I turned
Yeah.
yours off. It helped a little bit,
Yeah,
but there was
okay.
still
I'm almost
something.
wondering if those are too close together and those.
These
are
are
too
shut
close.
off.
I should
Yeah,
have.
they shut theirs
They've
off
been
too.
Right. They weren't from the beginning.
No, but it,
Yeah.
it
But you
does
shut
know
them off
usually when the
when-
batteries are going dead on something, but when I go over there to look and see what's flashing,
It stops.
because when the static happens, the light flashes, then it stops doing it, so I can't see what's flashing.
So it must be you.
It- I'm happy to go home, but
No, you need to just go sit in that
Stand
corner.
right there, yeah. We're gonna put a little dust there in the
Yeah.
corner and sat right there.
Casey won't be here to give the maintenance report. He took a vacation day finally, and he took 2 of his nieces to the zoo today.
Hallelujah.
Well, everyone knows Casey, right? You know, Casey's very military. These 2 little girls, like when I say have him wrapped around their little finger, he will probably stand in front of a bear and fight them, but these 2 little girls say Uncle Casey, and his heart melts and he does whatever they say. So he spent the day at the zoo, which I think is
I'm just glad
funny.
he took vacation day.
Well, that too.
Gotta beat him to death.
Chief Garver is on leave today. They had to run to Florida for some things, but he'll be back next month. So I don't have an update from either one of them. And I could probably sit here and bore you and talk about things they did, but I'll wait for them to come back and they can do it. We'll move on to old business. This right here was just an update because we did an email and phone vote. So Village of Bremen reached out to us kind of the week before their Oktoberfest, wanted to know if we can supply special duty officers for their festival. So what we did is done a phone vote because we didn't have anything on the books on how to handle that. We went ahead and approved that. They paid us $1,000, paid the police department $1,000. Of that $1,000, $900 of it went to pay for the officers for that day. So that got taken care of, and, you know, we banked $100 or whatever off of it, you know, for fuel, things like that. So I guess it shouldn't be banked, but cover our costs, so. Budget update, because again, I've been working on next year's budget. This right here up on the screen, this is our, this is kind of what you approve, kind of where we sit right now. What our anticipated revenues are for next year for each one of our accounts, our appropriations, which is, you know, what we spend. Again, try not to do any transfers, ins and outs, because those are messy, so we keep that at 0, and then what our carryover is anticipated to be. Again, you know, we know we have a tight year ahead of us, same as this year, but this is kind of where we're at. Kind of column H, I, and J, you know, years ago, we made like we had a conversations like we would like to carry over 10% for each account, and that's kind of what I just built on there is what 10% would be and where we're at with our carryover, so we can gauge, you know, are we constantly not making it, or, you know, are we just having a couple bad years? And of course, this year and next year, or when I say bad, it's just, you know, our carryover isn't where it needs to be. And going up, utilities keep going up. Our supplies keep going up, raw materials, it just, you know, everything just keeps going up, and, you know, we can't stop buying things and fixing things just because prices go up, because if we don't fix it, it costs more to replace it type thing. So that's kind of where we're at with all this. And then once we get to December, when we pass this, we'll kind of go through this a little bit more, but I just kind of want to give you an update, see if anyone had any questions or concerns, where we're at, because like right now, we still have time to have conversations and move things around.
Can you remind me what permissive means again?
Permissive is your part of your gas tax. So when you go to purchase fuel at the gas tank, there's 4 different permits.
I remember.
We have 3 of them. For if you're, or, I'm sorry, not fuel, your license, sorry. Driver's license. There's 4 different permits that equal, that are $5 each for a total of $20. So we have 3 of them that are $15, and then we split the third one with the county, because each one of them have special rules. And it's one of those things, the county was going to go ahead, and any village that wasn't using their permits was going to take them. So we went ahead and enacted to take them all, because if you're going to pay it, you might as well spend that much money to That's permissive, and it has rules, like it can't be used for labor, it can't be used for, gosh, there's a whole list of things that it can't be used for, but basically raw materials for the upkeep of right-of-ways, whether it be roads, alleys, any type of right-of-way. It's just for that management of that right-of-way. A lot of villages use it to buy cold patch or hot patch. If you know, you have your own paving machine, to buy the material through permissive, things like that, so. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it sounds like it should because it's a supply. But with permissive, because it has all these rules, I always like to always double check before we just say, yes, let's take it out of that. Permissive, it does allow for the payment of streetlights. So that's kind of where we pay our streetlights out of, essentially. So that's kind of what that's used for.
All these rules.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's, the only one that is, I don't want to say free for all, but general fund is really what we spend where we spend our money. Everything else has a unique spot for it that you can only spend it on, so. All right, any questions on that? If not, we'll be talking about this probably about every meeting until we pass it in December. All right. In your packet, you guys should have a quote from Tonka Water. So we've been talking about this, about our water treatment plant. Our water treatment plant, like, for what our current needs are, we're fine. But any type of growth, you know, we definitely don't have enough, because we don't have enough buffer. Because even though we say we produce, 80,000 gallons a day?
Yeah.
We can produce 120,000 on the high end if we have to. That's running at,
Have to,
yeah, that's running at 24/7. We don't want that for our plant, right? And EPA kind of says you have to have a buffer anyway. It has to be down so many hours because you got to give that plant a break. Because if not, your failures keep going up. So we've talked about building a whole new plant, right? And so the design engineering is $450,000 for that, and the bill is anywhere between $2 to $2.3 million. And that's probably 2 years old, so that's probably went up. So we've looked at other options of what to do here. So this right here was another option, is Tonka is a system that we currently use. So it'd be to duplicate what we currently have to double, well, almost a little bit more than double our capacity with what's in here. And there's two different quotes in there. And this is not something we're voting on tonight. This is not something we're jumping on right away. It's just we're doing our research to prepare where we need to go. You know, this is just the idea. But there's two different quotes in here. The one for the actual Duralator, which is your softener, correct? And everything attached to that is a little over $600,000 for that. That does not include the building, because again, if we double our plant size, our plant is already at its limits for what's inside there, so we also have to build onto our existing plant. In addition to that, the softener needs to be updated, and this right here would actually, right now we run off of one softener, so when it's down, I don't want to say we're not softening our water, but there's water in our clear well that's reserved, but while that's down, it does its regen, a couple hours?
Yeah.
There's a couple hours that's not running per se. This price would give us 2 softeners, so we essentially have 3, so they can keep moving forward, because that softener gets used a lot. And when I say softener, everyone says, well, we got hard water. Yes, but it's a fine line of over softening and also, I don't want to say under softening. So we kind of just follow what the EPA says is a requirement, and we fall in there. Because you go to some places and they over softener, like, you know, we don't want to see any specks on our shower door. We can do that, but guess what? We use a lot more salt and it costs a lot more money, and we're trying to be frugal with everything, you know, and do our best with this. But for that system, it's an additional $425,000. So you're at about $1 million there just in the equipment to put into it. You know, we don't have any estimates on the building, because again, the building's the building. Until we figure out what we're gonna do, it's kinda hard to sit there and say, you know, give me a price on a 10 by 20, you know, like, we don't know. But we also know that that's probably gonna be a couple $100,000, right? So, at least, because then you also have the electrical work and, you know, additional plumbing, all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of where we're at, again, just to kind of keep you informed of where we're at with moving forward, because growth is coming. We gotta be prepared for it. And if we wait until it gets here, we won't be ready. So these are the conversations that we're having now. I am probably gonna take this and start talking with the engineers and say what kind of grant funding is available, because again, we don't have the money for this. We don't have the money for this. And it's unfair to say, hey, village residents, pay for our growth and pay for the next people coming over. It's not fair. But if we can get 80% of it covered, and then our fees and all that, where people start coming into the village, that helps pay up for the other one. That right there will help offset a lot of these costs to where residents aren't seeing a huge increase. Because again, you never want to say it will never increase, because everyone knows that's a lie. Every politician says no increase, right? You know you're lying through their teeth. It just, if there ever is an increase, we want to make it the least impactful if we're going to build, right? So, any questions on that? Again, everyone has the information here, talks about the system, there's diagrams in it. This is not anything we're acting on right away, it's just a good FYI and let you know that we are still looking, trying to find a way forward. All right, next up is the salt contract with Walnut Township. We sign this every year whether we use it or not. Because we are in both Pleasant and Walnut Township, we get to use both of those resources. We currently partner with Pleasant Township because their salt storage barn isn't large enough to hold all the salt that they order. And if they don't take it all, the state, or I shouldn't say the state, but where they order it from, charges them like a rental fee. So we just make room in our barns and they dump their excess salt in our barns. So I think we have 80 tons of salt in our barns that belong to Walnut Township, or Pleasant Township, but then as we need it, we just go get it, and then we tell them how much we used, and then they bill us for it. That's typically how that works, so. But as a backup, we still do this Walnut Township, so that way, if we do need to get salt from them in case of emergency, because again, that does belong to Pleasant Township, they can, if it's a bad year, they can come and take it and say, you don't get none of it, because it does physically belong to them. So this just gives us our backup, so. They have 500 tons in storage now. When they purchased it, it was $69.65 a ton, which is what they would charge us. They must purchase another 400 tons at $69.65 per their other contract. And it actually doesn't look like it's gonna go up any, so it's $69.65 a ton, unless they use more than what they ordered, because then there are surcharges, for that. But that is the state contract price. We don't bid on the state contract, because we don't use enough salt, and that's kind of why we use the townships, because they do the state bidding contract. Outside of this, if you would just go buy it without a state bid contract, this same salt, exact same salt, would cost you $150 a ton or more. So just for reference. So do I hear a motion to approve this agreement?
I'll second it.
Okay, Bill made the motion and seconded by Michelle. Roll call?
President Duval,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Yes.
Councilman Pinkmont,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harrier, Councilwoman Morton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry.
Great.
Jason, did you purposely skip over Walnut Street? The loan?
I did not purposely do it.
It's,
You went
it's
through
two
your
in.
packet, didn't you, not
Yeah.
the agenda?
I
Okay.
Yeah.
think it's 2 in.
All right, so let me back up then. Walnut Street Water Tower loan. So the water tower is getting close to completion, thank God. We took out that loan of $839,000 last year because the anticipation was everything would be done within a year. But then once they started working on the tower, they found some failures that wasn't part of our original inspection that we had to go out and find resources for to pay for it. Because again, the money we put into this, we want this tank to last another 100 years, because it's over 125 years old now. And with this investment, it should last us it should last longer than our newer one, to be honest, because of the material they used back then. So we took out a loan for our reimbursement amount, so we pay the contractor, we then invoice the county invoices, or pays us off those invoices. We had to pay that back in full because our 12-month term was up. So now we still have about $100,000 in additional reimbursement to pay out. And of course, we don't have $100,000 sitting in our general fund. So we're gonna have to take out a loan to finish that payment. So it's just basically doing exactly what we did last year. We're just kind of doing it, extending it a little bit more. So I would like permission to take out a $100,000 loan at 5.95% for 12 months. Again, if we get the reimbursement back before the 12 months, which we should, we can pay it off earlier, save some interest, and there's no penalties for early payoff. So there's no additional fees on this loan. Any questions on it?
Before it's signed, will we get to review it?
So again, like this is kind of bass backwards the way government loans work. So you guys approve tonight the amount, the term, and the percentage, and then you indicate who's gonna be the signer. Then that gives them, and typically it's Penny. And then when they get completed, what I would like to happen is then those loan documents come back to be signed off on by finance or council, just for a second glance to say, this is what Jason presented, is that what we got?
So is there, I don't see an ordinance or resolution or anything for.
No, it just needs to be in the minutes for
Okay.
that. They don't require, each lending source has different rules. They just need it in their minutes, not into an ordinance, is what
Okay.
they told us, so.
Okay. I would make a motion to move forward as long as we can review the docs before we completely sign it.
It has to be, it'll be completely signed. Like tonight, you would authorize all that. And then Penny would go do that, and then you would get the loan documents after.
After the fact.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we should change that. I don't know what we talk about, but I feel like somebody should be reviewing it before she signs it each time.
I'm trying to think how that would work, because,
As a loan organization, they should be able to pre-print them for you for our review.
true. But we have to have another meeting unless we want to do a special meeting.
I would say we do a special
Okay.
meeting. I feel like we need to have oversight,
Okay,
like extra set of eyes.
okay.
Do you mean all of council or just finance or,
It would have to be council because
Yeah.
finance is not allowed to approve
gotcha.
expenditures. They suggest to council,
Yeah.
so. it'd
I
have
mean,
to
it's
be a-
just like when you go in and buy a
Yeah.
car and you review your
Yeah,
document.
okay.
I
So-
would think we need to review our document.
All right, so I will have the bank generate that, and then once they get that to us, I mean, they should be able to do that for us early next week.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, and then we can call a special meeting sometime, okay? Send documents.
Would you suggest that moving forward for all?
Yes, I would suggest
Okay.
that going forward for,
Okay.
just so that we have oversight.
Okay, not a problem.
Just because we can say we're signing off on something and then,
Okay,
you know what I mean, and
Yep.
it's different than what they write up. Not that they always make mistakes or anything like that.
well, no,
just-
but also interest rates change
Right,
overnight. and,
Exactly.
You know, so, all right. So then, I don't need a motion then, since you guys aren't approving it, we will go ahead and just proceed with that, and I'll get the docs, and then we'll come back as a special meeting. In addition to that, with some of our outlays of cash, because again, some of these projects were supposed to be done next year, but they're being done a year early, so like, we don't have the revenue yet for these. So we have roughly about $50,000 in payments that we're probably gonna make before in the next 6 months to a year, or 6 months, I shouldn't say a year. So I would suggest taking out a $50,000 loan, again, at that 5.95%, for a full 60 months. And this will be for the storm sewer improvements, for Summit Street.
Did you say 6 months?
60 months, 60
Okay.
months. Because that right there will make the payments, I think around $1,000 a month roughly,
Okay.
with that interest.
Now, will we be taking that out now? Or
Yes,
will we-
yeah, because we already have payments coming due.
Okay,
And again, we have cash to make some of these payments. But for the full amount, like it's going to come due before we actually get some of our revenue.
right, makes
Yep.
sense. Okay, yep.
Can we
Okay.
have all the documents so we can, for our special meetings?
Yeah, so I'll do that on both essentially, because if that's what you guys want, we'll do
Yeah.
that on both.
Yeah, you might as well do them both at one
Yeah.
time.
All right. Any questions on that?
Nope.
All right. Let me get back to my list. Snow plowing. So this right here is for the county. County Road 17 is our Columbus Street. County Road 19 is our Richland Road. So this right here is just boilerplate we do every year. It authorizes them to put down their plow when they come through Pleasantville, when they're plowing. Does not allow them to put down salt, anything like that, but just the agreement to allow them to plow. And again, in a heavy event, you want as many plows as you can. And depending on who's driving, they sometimes salt even though they're not supposed to. Which we don't care. I mean, the more salt, the better too. But, do I hear any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right. Roll call?
President Jamal?
Yes.
Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Pingbart?
Yes.
Councilwoman Harrier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry?
Yes.
All right. Next one is ordinance. Now, this is not an emergency ordinance. This right here will have 3 readings. So while we're talking about or loans and all that, so debt service. When we took out our loan for the water tower, portion of that, because of that total amount, there's 200 and some $1,000 in loan amounts. That's not due until 2026. And this is everywhere because we say we take it out of our water account. That money is not secured, meaning because it's in the water account, we can spend it on anything water and not actually be able to pay back the loan. And people's been pressuring me to do this for a couple of years. When I say people, the organizations that give us the funding, is to set up debt service for these loans. Because that way, if you pass an ordinance that says this is for debt, guess what? It can only be paid debt. So as we take out debt, they know it can be paid for. Our grants are getting very competitive and we kind of lose points with this. So one, it's to kind of help prepare us for the future on that kind of stuff. And also to help us pay some of these payments that we already have that's been going on since the 1980s. that come out of general fund or water treatment fund, depending on what they were for. So the first one is an ordinance to establish a water debt service charge for the village of Pleasantville. Has all the regular language in here, and it's basically a $7 per month fee per residential user, or in the case of family units or commercial, it'll be per unit. So if you have 30 rentals, it's 30 times 7, okay? Any questions on that? And that will go into its own fund, separate from any other fund. It'll be put onto the water bills, as that's where all these type of things go. And then those funds can only be paid, be used to pay loans. This dollar amount can only be changed by council. It can go up or down depending on where you're at with your loans. Because you pay off your loan, this dollar amount should come down. If you take out more loans to do improvements, then this amount should go up to cover your loan amount. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, any questions? Okay, so this is the first reading of it. There is no vote on it. And you guys can give input. You can make changes up until it's passed, okay? Second one is an ordinance to establish a storm sewer debt service charge. And again, so we're now into the phase of updating all our storm lines. We're having to take out loans for that. Right now, that gets paid directly out of the general fund, because you can't take storm sewer and pay for it out of the water account. So it comes out of the general fund. We're having the same conversations with those funding places. So based on our current, I want to make sure I say it right, our current storm sewer debt and the debt that we'll be taking on in the next year for our loan payment, it comes out to be $3 per month per residential home or per unit if there's multi-unit. So it's a total of $10 total in addition each month for each resident. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Again, this is not an emergency. It will have 3 readings for public input or for council input. And this right here will help us prepare for the future when we go to take out grants, that they'll see that we have these funds set aside and they're more willing to give us the grant, plus the points that we're losing, we'll be able to recoup. Okay?
And we would vote on it, the final vote after the 3 readings would be in December.
Yes, yeah, on the 3rd reading, it's voted on. And again, during that time, we can make adjustments and changes too. Like,
Right.
it doesn't stand as it is, and it doesn't start over if you change something. Now, if you drastically change it, it has to start over, but if you make an adjustment, let's say to the dollar amount, or, okay, add a section in there because I wanna make sure that we talk about this, that's fine, as long as it kinda sticks with the original intent of the ordinance. All right, resolution 10-10-2402, be it resolved by the Village of Pleasantville Council, the following supplemental appropriations be approved. $800 for general fund for electricity, $800 general fund for natural gas, and $1,000 general fund for telephone services. Again, this is an increase to what our original budget was for. As we're getting towards the end of the year, this is the additional costs that we're estimating to get us through. Any questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Or, I'm sorry, roll call. I was getting ahead of myself. I'm thinking, yeah. Thinking I'm in a different meeting.
President Dumont?
Yes.
Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Pinghorn?
Yes.
Katie needs to sign
Councilwoman
that.
Carrier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry?
Yes.
Okay, so be it resolved by the Village of Pleasantville Council, the following supplemental appropriations be approved. General Fund, $3,000 for personal services. General Fund, $2,311 for professional and technical services, which include mowing, mosquito spraying, wells pest control, and computers. And Park and Recreation, $9,128.86 for capital outlay for some of the improvements that we've been doing. Any questions on that? And again, this is an increase of our original budget that we had.
I'll make a motion.
All right, Corey made the motion,
I'll second it.
seconded by Sarah. Roll call?
President Dumont?
Yes.
Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Pinghorn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Carrier?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Henry?
Yes.
All right. All right, getting down towards the end. So I do want to give a festival board update, since our festival is done and in the books, and we pretty much have everything, accounted for and paid for. So this right here is just our agenda and all that. I'm not gonna go through all this with you, but this right here will kind of give you some of the highlights. So advertising and fundraising, we raised in sponsorships $21,400. The advertising that we did this year was with WLOH, The Wolf, a local Lancaster radio station, the Town Crier, and of course our posters, Facebook, word of mouth, things like that. Entertainment, this year we had Southern Touch, Bad Influence, Julia Neville, had great responses to those three. We're looking for our next bands for next year. Bad Influence seems to be a Pleasantville favorite, and I've already had people telling me they want Bad Influence back, and they've been here every year that we have the festival. They are a great band, but Rides, Albany's Entertainment, they stated they're not gonna come back in 2025. They made no money this year. Last year was a bad year for them too. A caveat with that, and this is my personal opinion, his tickets were $1.25 each, and it took 5 tickets to slide down a slide, so you're paying $5 to slide down a slide. Is it really that we don't have the crowd, or is it people don't wanna pay $5 to slide down a slide? So we're looking for something different. More to come on that. Food vendors, the ones highlighted in yellow did not show up, but that's who we had. It brought in $250 in revenue. Currently, we still have 3 vendors outstanding at $100 each, so we still have $300 of revenue coming in. The beer tent always, now when we say a loss, it's not the beer sales that is lost, but you also have to calculate in the rentals of the tent, the rentals of the tables. So that's when we get into the loss of the beer garden. But again, the beer garden brings in people to spend money elsewhere, so a $600 loss really isn't too bad. This also does not include sponsorship, so there's really a $1,500 sponsorship to help pay for this, but we put that like into the general fund of the festival to help offset just overall costs. So, and for metric purposes, we kind of make everything stand on its own, so we know like where we're losing money or whatever. So if this would have been, let's say this would have been our grand prize and we lost $6,000 or $600, yeah, we're canning that, because we're definitely losing money and there's really no benefit to that outside of, someone winning money. One of the problems that we have is we found out this year that Pleasantville is split between Pleasant and Walnut Township. The Pleasant Township side, so the park side of the village, is considered a dry part of Pleasantville. So back in the early 1900s, during that time and those laws, the village decided if they wanted alcohol sales. And they done it back then, north side, south side, Pleasant Township, Walnut Township. So I guess Walnut Township decided, hey, we want alcohol sales. Pleasant Township side said, no, we don't want alcohol sales. Learned a lot through this. Now, in today's world, no one really cares about that. Because if I want to put a bar on Pleasant Township side, I put it on a ballot, and that address now can get a liquor license. But as a village, these rules still apply. So one of the things that we need to look at, and we've talked about that, is either make a DORA, which I am a very big proponent of that, for an area of the village, because it could be used for different things, or we need to go back to the voters and say, hey, can we make this side of the town wet? Which I think is gonna be a hard conversation to have, because people don't understand it, and you're probably gonna get a lot of no votes, because it's like, what the hell are they trying to do? But either way, I believe, even on the DORA, it has to go in front of the voters. So if we're gonna go to the voters, and we gotta spend money to do this, why not just go ahead and do the DORA? Because that's, like, honestly, that's what everyone's going to. And then that DORA will supersede all that other stuff. It'll kind of clean up that mess. So that's a task that we're gonna assign to village council, to do. So we'll be working on that, looking at some things, and then the festival committee will just wait on the response from council and what they need to do. Again, would we like to have it in 2025? Yep. Do we need it in 2025? No, we can make do. I mean, we'll figure something out. And that kind of goes to the second point, is the beer garden.
Yes, we need it, or yes, we
Yes,
don't.
it's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because
Everybody's doing it.
everyone's doing it, and
We
it's,
tried.
it
We tried this
is,
year, we didn't work.
if you go to Somerset, you go to Carroll, you go to Lancaster, I'm not a big drinker. However, when I want a beer and there's something going on, I don't want to sit in the bar the entire time drinking my beer and watching everything. Like, I want to go outside and mingle. So that kind of allows that to happen. And there's all kinds of rules with it, but we won't get into that tonight. All right. Craft vendors and booths, a successful year, $625 in revenue. Again, we only charge $25 a spot. We don't charge a lot of money. So it's just all free money. Silent auction, we made $1,729 in revenue. And I have to say something about this. So the lady who has done this for us for years, decided not to do it this year. Her son graduated from high school, joined the Navy, so her and her husband decided, guess what? This summer, we're gonna travel, because they have the blessing to be able to take the summer off. Great, go do that, go forth and conquer. When she done it, we probably brought in $2,000 to $3,000 in revenue. We put this together at the last minute, and when I say the last minute, like 2 weeks leading up to the festival. A lot of help from Corey with the vendors, Sam and Scott's wife that live on First Street, pulled together, got all kinds of stuff, and this is the revenue we made. So, a lot of work went into that $1,700, and it's appreciative. But again, it's another moneymaker, and we have no cost in it, so, because everything's donated. The parade, we're going to shorten it because that's been the complaint the past 2 years, but just because someone complained the first year doesn't mean we have to do it. But after a second year, plus looking at it again at the second time, once you go past Academy Street, South Main, loop back, like no one's standing outside. So it's just the parade's going down the street for no reason. So we'll just take Academy Street right into the park and end it there. We did make a significant amount of money this year, and because so, and I'll kind of get to that here in a second, we have 2 marching bands that participate in our festival every year in our parade, Fairfield Junior Local School District and Fisher Catholic. The board decided and is asking council, can we pay both of them and donate $250 each to them this year? Since we had a successful year, they do participate, and typically festivals do pay for marching bands, other than their home band, but typically they donate to them. And we never have, because we've never made enough money to be able to do that. So they keep coming back even though we're not, donating to their cause. But because it is an expenditure and all festival money goes to the village, we do have to have your permission. So do I have your permission?
Yep,
Okay, so does someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Sarah made a motion,
I'll second it.
second by Corey, and we'll just do all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay, same sign? All right, cool. All right, so we'll go ahead and get that out. Our $1,000 grand prize raffle, after we paid everything, we made $950. Now, of that $950, we buy next year's tickets this year. So 145, 175 comes out of it. So that'll get reduced down a little bit. But we are also changing because we got a lot of input. Our sales have never been that great with our $1,000 grand prize raffle. We always cover our costs, make some money off of it. It's usually around $1,000. But the feedback we got is just $10 is too much for the ticket. I don't disagree. So what we did was we kind of looked at what other festivals do. They have higher payouts than what we do. We're not going to increase our payout, but we're going to try it this year and see what happens. We're going to sell our tickets $2 each, or 3 for $5. So it really brings down the cost. In addition to that, if a organization helps us sell it, whatever they sell, they keep half. So if they sell $1,000 worth of our tickets, they keep $500 instantly for their organization. Because that's how a lot of these festivals are doing it. And we're gonna see if we can cover our costs, because again, I think we calculated we need to sell 400 tickets at that point or something, I can't remember. Yeah, but we're also gonna look at that, like, what is our break-even point? Because we definitely gotta get to our break-even point at minimum. But by doing that, I think we're gonna get a lot more organizations to be able to help us sell tickets. Because right now, the only way you get anything is the winning organization gets $100. But if you get instant cash right away when you turn in the tickets, you give me $1,000, I give you $500 back. That's $500 for your organization. So we're gonna try that and see how that goes and see if it helps increase. Typically, we limit the number of tickets, but because we're kind of changing it, we're sell as many tickets as we can. Doesn't matter.
Lost Toma was excited about that.
Yeah.
All in.
Well, and I think a lot of organizations, because I'll tell you, being a Millersport Lion, that raffle brings in a lot. And people bring in grocery sacks of tickets once they're sold, and then they count them and they get, half of that. Like, people make thousands of dollars off this for their organizations, like schools, civic organizations. Because again, you give them incentive to sell, they're gonna sell.
Our poor
Big-
little club needs.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't have to be a Pleasantville organization. As long as they're a trustworthy, reputable organization, we will sign out tickets to them, so.
I haven't been to a Fairfield Union game in forever. Does anybody do raffle tickets there?
I don't know.
Where they walk around?
I couldn't answer that. And if we would sell our tickets there, we'd have to ask permission for the
Well,
school.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm asking, because I do know that some
I was gonna reach out to like their athletic
You get a pretty
boosters.
big following
Yeah.
at some of the athletic events.
the athletic boosters do.
Yeah, but this right here may be something they could do in addition to, like the
They
band
probably
boosters or,
won't if they do one, but I
Yeah.
would certainly check and see if they do
Yeah.
one, because if they don't,
Mhm.
like, I had something that I did a wrestling event over
Mhm.
there for, and they didn't at the wrestling
Mhm.
event. And we raised you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we just set at the door as they went in,
Yeah.
and they, you know, get tons of people, and people do it
Yeah.
that way. I'm just saying you might wanna check,
yeah,
if they have somebody doing it at the football games, they might not be having somebody do it
Yeah.
at wrestling or basketball. You might wanna just.
yeah, we would wanna reach out to all the.
Cause there's a lot of people
yeah.
that flow through that.
Yep, all the different sports organizations, all the boosters, all that, because the more people, the more tickets you get out there, the better chance you get of
Right.
selling them, so.
What month is the carnival sale?
Oh, yeah,
The
the carnival's a
festival?
good idea.
The carnival.
March,
Yeah, the school carnival.
April,
April,
I thought it was at the dorm.
one of the two.
yeah.
I feel like it was beginning of April.
Well, I think it's end of March, beginning of April, it's, you know, somewhere around there. It's in the spring.
But yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that would be a good.
It's before the Fourth.
The Queen's pageant, and again, Queen's pageant money is separate from, the festival, but, you know, they're included in our group. They raised, 1505, and they expensed, 1503, so they had a net profit of $1.35. I think they have a couple sponsors down there that they're waiting on payment from, so that may go up. But, that's where they sit as of, last Friday. But again, they're self-supporting, and their goal is whatever they raise, they pay out. So they're, you know, they do a $500 scholarship for the winner. You know, they pay for their sashes, their crowns, all that stuff, so they do a great job at that. Changes that we'll do next year, layout, of course, with that new ball diamond, we definitely have to look at the layout. When we change the layout, of course, that'll change our electricity, needs down there, so we'll be looking at that. Their queens want to bring the crowning and the social back to the festival, because they kind of pulled it back to the community center. But the problem that we're seeing is people go to the parade, then they go directly to the community center, then they leave. They spend no money at the festival. And part of the reason to bring all these queens in is to get them to spend some money. So by doing everything at the festival, we hope that will encourage them spending money at craft booths, spending money at food booths, things like that, so. Additions for next year, we have a resident in town that has a foam machine. They used it during July 4th at their house, and it pretty much foamed their entire front yard. Yeah, a good.
Kids were disappeared.
So they're willing to donate their time, that and the material that's needed to have a foam pit for some time at our festival, which I think would be a good kids' corner type activity. We want to look at maybe looking at doing a second kids' corner sponsor, because again, that's a $1,500 sponsor. Do 2 of them, so our budget is $3,000 for the kids' corner. Because basically every single tiny event we have is about $1,000. Like a face painter for the day is about $1,000. A magician for the day is $1,200. You know, like they're not cheap. So we don't have enough money to do a lot of things, but if we can find another sponsor to pay for it, why not, you know, add to it? So we're looking at something to replace rides, and we kind of talked about that at our last meeting. There's a company called Cincinnati Circus out of Cincinnati. They do circus acts and they have some ride equipment. For the circus, what they call the Thrill Circus, and it's 3 2-hour shows throughout, you know, our day. And they do like a motorcycle thing, they do acrobatics, they do flame throwing, flame swallowing, like the little carny things that you do in a circus tent. They do all that. They bring all their stuff, and it's $5,000 for that show. To do rides, they have to be guaranteed $15,000 for a day in sales. So whatever they don't make in $15,000, the festival committee has to make up the difference. And if we do a day and a half, it's $17,000 in revenue. So, and people flip over that, but a lot of the other ride companies, when I called them, they wanted $20,000 to show up. That doesn't include the sales. That's a different conversation. $20,000 just to drive from wherever they're at in Ohio to Pleasantville. And people pay this money. I don't know where they get it from. So I think what we're doing is we're gonna keep looking, but we kind of have an idea of what it's gonna cost. We're gonna try to find sponsorships. If we don't have sponsorships for that, of course, we can't afford to do it. You know, it is what it is. It's a matter of money. So,
Wait, it costs just to rent bouncy houses.
Well, yes, and they're a lot cheaper, but here's the problem, you need volunteers, and people do not volunteer to help us. I mean, that's what it is. And you need about 2 people per bouncy house, type thing, so, because we did have that one year, and we had to supply the volunteers. I don't wanna say it turned out bad, but it was chaotic, because people that said, oh, I'll be there from 2 to 4, never showed up. With people that was there from 12 to 2, they have to leave at 2.
Have we thought about paying our lifeguards?
I mean, that's always a
I'm just
possibility,
saying,
yeah.
should we look at what the cost would be to pay the lifeguard?
Mhm.
Well,
To
the pool's
patrol the
also gonna
bouncy
be
house?
open at the same time, so that means.
What'd
No,
you say?
it's-
August?
The poll should be closed, because it's always during school.
August?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I never
Yeah.
can come, it's on my anniversary,
Yeah.
every single year.
I know. You guys planned this out well.
It isn't this year,
It is.
Oh,
the third.
Let's throw
Well,
her
it's
anniversary
the
weekend.
24th,
Well,
it always works
I-
out.
I
The
keep-
day of
This
the
year I said I
festival,
wasn't
maybe.
even gonna come, and then our kids planned something for
Well,
us,
you tell
so-
your kids to back off.
This year's anniversary party is, we're gonna have a band for you and everything.
Yeah. But anyway, all
Yeah.
I'm
Even
saying
announce
is
your
maybe
name.
we look at how much it would
Yeah.
cost, cause they may wanna come and work.
Mhm.
Might be way cheaper to rent
Yes,
the equipment and then pay.
yeah.
than
No, I
to-
agree. No,
You
it
know what I
just,
mean?
we're,
I'm just saying something to look at.
yeah, no, and that's a great idea, and we'll look at that, because, yeah, that's a great idea, because it comes down to cost, and we need
Did
something.
the other company say how much money they did make, so we even know how much they made?
He
to
said
know
he
what-
made roughly $3,000, and it cost him like $5,000, like, by the time he rents
cause this
his.
other company actually does bracelets, like ride
Yeah.
bracelets, so you don't have to pay $5 to go down
Yeah.
the slide.
Yeah, but where are we coming up with $15,000?
Well, that's
if
it,
they
like,
only
we're
made
not
3?
coming up with it, it's the festivals committee, if they want that, they gotta find
Oh,
sponsorship, yeah,
okay,
yeah, I'm not
okay.
asking for money from the, no.
Yeah, I was like,
Because the
that's a
festival
lot.
always has to
Okay.
be self-sustaining.
Right,
Council has always agreed, hey, we can put a couple $1,000 just, for
yeah.
whatever.
And then get it back,
Seed
yeah.
Seed money. Or like last year, we went $150 in the hole. You guys covered that for us,
Yeah.
type thing. So it's, the village is not supporting the festival, even
Yeah.
though it's going through village funds. Yeah, none of this is like coming and asking for money.
Okay.
So, and next year is our 5th year, so we do wanna make it a little bit bigger. We're looking at adding a Friday to our festival from 5 to 10, doing a car show, a band, things like that. So we're already talking to Lancaster Old Car Club. They're very interested in doing the car show for us, hands off, other than, buying some plaques or whatever. So more to come on that. We may be adding an extra half day to that. Plus, Friday night is football night for Fairfield Union, so you're not gonna get the normal crowd, the moms and dads and kids. You're gonna get grandma and grandpa and car, gearheads. So we're pulling a different crowd in that night, so. All right, so here's what we made. Our total revenue was $28,523.19. Our expenses was $19,577.30. Again, last year we had a negative carryover of $140.81, so that made our net profit this year $8,805.08. Plus we have $300 outstanding, so this has been our best year ever. Before this, $6,000 was our best year, so I want to thank our festival board, all of our volunteers. They put a lot of work, effort into this to get us where we're at, so I think that it's great. Now, in saying that, with our profit from our festival, our goal has always been to put this back out in the community somehow, or a part of it. So next year, we do need to add, we're looking at adding a half day. So what the festival committee decided is take $3,000 of this, and again, because this goes through your money, you guys have to approve it, is to create a mini grant of up to $3,000. We still have to figure out what that means. We have to, create the applications, what are the rules? The goal isn't like, not one organization or thing gets 3,000, but you can, get up to maybe $1,000. But maybe you only need 500, and it's a reimbursement type thing, and you guys also have to put in a certain percentage, kind of like what we do with our reimbursements. Is council okay with us taking this $8,000 and put $3,000 of it back in the community through mini grants?
Is it just to try to get more participation, or what's the?
Well, because every
I'm like,
year.
How will it get to determine who gets the grants?
So they'll do an application process, and then they're usually approved through the festival committee and then brought back to council for final approval. So if you recall, in years past, we always said up front, these are gonna be our benefactors. And then any proceeds we get, they get a percentage of it. but we never know what our profit's gonna be.
Right.
Like last year, it was supposed to be Junior Falcon Baseball League, but we went in the hole $140, so they didn't get nothing.
So they're not participating, we're just giving them a grant? Is that
Well,
what you're?
so the stipulations that we kind of talked about, like to apply for the grant, you have to have some type of contribution to the village. Like, are you a civic organization that helps out with Christmas?
Right.
And you have 18 service hours in, or, you know, whatever.
Right,
Or are you coming in here and let's just say you're the Boy Scouts and you want, you know, some of that. Okay, in order to apply, there has to be some service hours with it. So
Should we have
20,
a stipulation that those service hours are at the festival?
no, we're not doing, because it's always been.
Well, I'm just saying, if the grant's
Yeah.
coming from the festival and we can't get volunteers.
Yeah, no, it could be, but the problem is with our festival is because it is also during that time of like football and wrestling, you know,
Yeah.
everyone's busy that weekend. And the goal from the beginning was just to get more things done in town and more people engaged in just the village itself.
Yeah,
And it could be like they have to do so many hours at the festival and so many hours in the village.
that's all I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying like that, I mean, if the money's coming from the festival
Yeah.
and we're looking at the grants
Mhm.
to see who gets it,
Yeah.
I would think that part of what it's almost like a
Yeah.
scholarship, part of what you're looking at is the parameter
Yeah.
to,
Yep. And we
any
can,
of them maybe help at the you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like,
no, I get it, cause we're always looking for help at the festival.
right,
It's just hard, like the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, they're all tied up in sports, so they never help because of that. It's not because they don't want to. Football team, they can't help because, you know, you have games both Friday and Saturday for the varsity and all, you know, it's like these same kids are involved with stuff and our festival is at a time that everyone's busy, type thing. Let's talk about the
but
kids.
if we're talking civic,
Civic could be a different
could
thing,
be
yeah.
American Legion, could
Yeah.
be,
Oh, the Alice Civic Organizations in Pleasantville already
Already
Yeah.
at the
volunteer at
festival.
the
Yeah.
festival.
oh.
Yeah, but again, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
say, like, I feel like if you're not getting enough volunteers, that
Yeah.
might,
No, I like that idea.
trigger
is
to-
We can say, you know, point wise, if you volunteer during the festival, you get an extra point. Cause again, we
Yeah,
gotta create
yeah.
some type of scale. So if they're volunteer hours at the festival, extra 5 points, you know,
Right,
again, it's a
right, yeah.
grading thing. So no, I like that idea.
Has to be previous, because you can't go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
You don't get
obviously
this and
not,
then you
yeah,
get-
Yeah.
no,
But
it's
you have
gotta
to
be
come in
previous,
7
yeah.
months to come to the festival,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
who's gonna keep
Yeah.
track of
No,
that?
Exactly.
but if you get points every year, you might try for the,
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is a good way of taking this because the proceeds, you know, we've always had the intent of putting it back into the village somehow. Whether it's through civic organizations, through student activities, through, you know, whatever, to make sure that, you know, we're just not keeping this money.
right,
All right. Any questions on that?
nope.
All
So
right.
do we have to make a motion now for that?
Are you guys good with that $3,000? I mean, just, that's what we don't need a
I am.
motion because we still have to create, The applica-
parameters
yeah, and all that.
application and all that
and
stuff.
then it really probably won't come back to you guys until we actually have the list of here's what we want to fund, and you would have, it's just, are you guys on board with that idea so we can move forward with it?
And we're not meeting for festival committee for months, so
Yeah, we
until
don't
the first of
meet
the
back
year.
until January. All right. I believe that's it. Go around the council room. Katie? You're probably tired, aren't you?
I'm exhausted. Nope, I'm
Sarah?
good.
Corey? Michelle?
No, that's after that.
Bill? Nope. Penny?
I think I'm good.
Sam?
What?
All right. So November's meeting, we are scheduled to meet on Veterans Day, which is a holiday. Do you guys want to meet on Veterans Day, or do you want to change it to a different date for next month? To me, it doesn't bother me, but because of the holiday, I just want to make sure. Okay, so we're good to meet on Veterans Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Are you guys good? I mean, because you guys would have the day off. Are you guys good coming in?
We're closing the office, but we still are there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good thing you said that. So, each year, they always, in order to take the day after Thanksgiving off, they work one of their holidays, so they just kind of flip it. So you guys want to take Veterans Day?
That's what we decided right then,
Okay.
yeah.
So the office, they'll be in the office. The office will still be closed. That way they get caught up on filing and reports and everything else. But, council's okay with that as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we'll just meet on we'll keep it the same then. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
All right, we have two motions, Bill and Sarah. Just write down one for a first, one for a second.
All right, Bill made the motion, Sarah.
Said it at
There
the
you
same
go.
time.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sorry it took so long, but I think we got through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Dave has a colonoscopy that day, but I'm sure we'll be back by 6:30.
Have them come to one of these meetings, it's almost like having a
He'll be all
colonoscopy.
like, I don't know if you want him here after that.
I don't know. It's always fun when,
The loopy people show up.
Right.
Rubbery.
I'll tell him he's needed. We'll see how that works. He'll probably sit back in the back and laugh.
Like I can't slide clothes off.
Or he'll sleep in the chair, I don't know. We'll see.
It's crazy.
when I had my gallbladder taken out, I was off work for a week or two. Well, the day after my surgery, someone called me on my phone. I don't remember it. I do not remember none of it. But I had my laptop at home and everything. I guess I got online, was making decisions and doing all kinds of stuff. And I got back to work and they're like, well, thanks for calling us out on this. I'm like, well, what? I didn't remember. Oh, no, we called you. I'm like, what did I say?
Yeah.
Like, because I was doped up. I don't remember none of it.
Yeah, he had ACL surgery, it was fantastic, what would be good. It was during COVID, and they like pushed him out, I think, quicker than they should have for recovery. And he literally, as he's walking